Who has lied to you the most, can you guess? Your family, your friends, or your partner? You'll be surprised to learn the truth. Maybe the last lie was told while looking in the mirror. Because humans lie the most to themselves. What do we know? Deceiving oneself seems to be a part of the survival mechanism. Sometimes the truth is too heavy. Acceptance is exhausting. That's why the mind clings to a version it imagines. You say, I'm fine, but you're not. You say, I don't care, but deep down, you're hurt. You say, I'm used to it, yet every night you dream of what you can't get used to. Because lying to yourself is the shortcut to appearing strong to others. But remember, honesty is not for the outside, it's for the inside. Real strength is not about convincing others, but about not being judged when you look in the mirror. One can shape the outside world however they want, but the inner voice never quiets. And you cannot deceive that inner voice. Masks can fool others, but never you. Think of a metaphor, your inner world is a room. Everything is in place, simple, and tidy. But to make the room look nice to others, you've shoved all the mess behind the curtain. Visitors come, love the room. But you know what's behind the curtain. When you return to that room alone each night, the mess disturbs your peace. That's what lying to yourself feels like. You look great from the outside, but inside you're in chaos. So why can't we be honest with ourselves? Because most of the time, we sacrifice our feelings to receive love from others. Instead of saying what we truly feel, we say what they want to hear. Because we think we need to be loved, accepted, to belong. But in doing so, we become strangers to ourselves. And at some point, we can no longer even distinguish what we feel. Psychology says, a person must first recognize what they feel. Repression, denial, or ignoring doesn't eliminate the emotion's impact. On the contrary, it pushes it deeper. That's why instead of fighting emotions, we must understand them. If there is anger, why am I angry? If I'm hurt, which boundary was violated? If I'm afraid, what am I afraid of losing? These questions are the first steps to being honest with yourself. 3 worlds live within us. One is our desires, one is our rules, and one is the balancing point between the two. And the most silenced voice among these is the inner one. Because usually that voice hurts. But that's exactly why we must listen to it. The outside world echoes the inside. Whatever you are inside, that's what you reflect. When you deceive yourself, you may feel peaceful for a while, but it's like running on ice. You slip. Honesty, however, solidifies the ground. It's hard, maybe, but stable. People begin relationships by lying to themselves. This is good for me, they say. But deep down they know there's discomfort. They're unhappy at work but continue with, that's just how it is. They have family issues but silence themselves with, it's always been this way. But true transformation begins the moment you catch your own lie. So how do you notice this lie? In silence. When alone with yourself, when social masks drop. If you feel uneasy after a decision, if you say you forgave someone but still feel resentment, or if your eyes well up when you say, I'm fine. Something is hiding there. Pay attention to these moments. Don't try to mute your feelings, amplify them. Because awareness is the first door to honesty. Being honest with yourself requires courage. Because sometimes that honesty leaves you alone. You may realize people around you love not you, but the role you play. But that loneliness is more healing than fake crowds. Because in the end, you're alone with yourself. The real you. Maskless, filterless, honest. When you can't be honest with yourself, you can't be honest with others. Because you can't build a strong floor on a rotten foundation. Human relationships are the same. The more genuine you are, the stronger your relationships. The more fake you are, the more fragile and temporary everything becomes. That's why sometimes you need to pause and ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Am I really happy? Have I truly forgiven? Have I really forgotten? Or am I just pretending? Because the answers to these questions open new paths. Being honest is not being flawless. On the contrary, it's accepting your flaws. Saying, yes, I was wrong here. Yes, I was hurt. Yes, I was scared. And then adding, and this is my truth. A person who accepts their truth doesn't fear judgment. Because they know that as long as they don't deceive themselves, no one can truly hurt them. Our deepest wounds come from the moments our own lies are thrown in our faces by others. But if you're already honest, no one can defeat you. Because you've turned even your weakness into strength. Truth needs no persuasion, because truth persuades itself. Tell the truth and move on, both to yourself and to others. Remember, as long as you're not being disrespectful, you can say anything to anyone. Send this video to someone who's been silencing their inner voice for a long time. To someone who looks strong outside but battles storms inside. So they can return to themselves too. When was the last time you stopped silencing your inner voice and tried to truly understand what you felt? Write in the comments. In the next video, we'll talk about why most people don't love you, but the expectations you reflect. Because sometimes the person everyone admires might be someone even you don't recognize. Knowledge is power. Subscribe, follow, hold the power. What do we know?